Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening. And today we've got a big stream coming up as we come up against our bitter rivals in the Taça de Portugal. And joining me to look ahead at this momentous game is Paolo, and we've also got Mikey, Mr. Benfica, coming on later in the stream. Welcome on, Paolo.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Well, since we last went live, we've had we've had a win and we've had a signing come in.
Yeah.
So maybe let's get these out the way before we really reflect back on Porto's running the cut up. So and of course Farioli extended his contract. So starting on them, what are your thoughts on them three things?
Yeah, no, I think I'll start with Farioli renewal it's obviously it's good news. I feel like I don't know how I feel when you give managers renewal in halfway through the first season, but I think it is probably deserved. He's changed us completely, so I'm really excited about that. With Oscar Putaszewski, I'm I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. At first I was obviously you see him come in 10 million, you're like okay, he's guaranteed that he's gonna be in the first team, but then I'm seeing other stuff where we're linked to more wingers. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I've seen bits of him, he looks really interesting. And yeah, last game we won the Santa Clara game. That was tough. That was one of the toughest games that it was squeaky bum really until the end. So it's always tough to go to the Azores. Always tough. I've never looked forward to them games to go to the Azores or to go to Madeira. Never looked forward to them. So glad we got the win. Now got the next half of the season. So let's just hopefully win the league.
Yeah, that game was a rough one, and our goal came through the fact that Santa Clara's defense and goalkeeper made a mistake.
Yeah.
So we didn't have much moments of creating our own luck. The only great example I can remember was a shot from Boya Sainz in the last 10 minutes. But as mentioned on my shorts, fantastic news about Farioli staying. He's had an almost perfect first half of the season, and someone we trust in, and I don't imagine us finding a replacement anytime soon. So I'm all in for this contract extension, and then when we brought Oscar in. I like what I hear from him. The fact that he's willing to take on players with no fear.
Yeah,
he's not someone I think will play right now, but I think a possible option that if we need something unpredictable and a goal, then he's someone that can make that difference. But let's look back at our cup run, and I think it's been as well as it can be. Just getting up my screen now. We've had 11 goals in 3 games, even if those were up against sides we were expected to beat. Our first game in Barcelos, where we got that 4-0 win, and for a while, from what I did see of that game, which I think was only the second half, we didn't do much to really make the game too one-sided until Samu came on and got a hat trick. And I forgotten how you pronounce this team, but
Sulurigens. Yeah,
Sulurigens.
Yeah.
Once Samu came on, they had no chance, and then what followed was a 3-0 victory against St. Trent's.
That was
another one where it was not as comfortable as as it was expected to be until that last 10 to 20 minutes, when by that point Porto did put the game beyond St Trent's, and Mora scored an incredible goal. As I reflect on the Famalicão game, you have to remember that this game was set in a week where Porto had 3 games, and given that Famalicão are one of the teams in the league that are competitive against the big 3, I would have taken any sort of win. But the fact that we did manage to get at a 4-1 win, that's fantastic. Paolo, how do you reflect on Porto's run in this competition?
Yeah, that 4-1, I think, because that was also come from a run of games in the last few months. The games that we've been a bit, some performances cannot be that great, and when we played them the first time round in the league, it was a really tight game. This game was that was one of our best performances. I went in there thinking that it was going to be tough and that Famalicão could win, but we really put them away, which was good. And then the St. Trent's game, for me, the 3-0 I think was kind of flattered them, because I felt we were comfortable. We maybe didn't create as many chances as we want to, but it was pretty comfortable. The main thing I did remember is that they had a centre back that he kind of bullied Samuel. And then even when Samuel got subbed off, he kind of just man marked Samuel, and then man marked Gould the whole time, where he just didn't give them any space, so they didn't have the best game. They were a bit, either striker didn't do much because of how well that defender played. But I think it's been a good run. Obviously, getting our biggest rivals in the quarters is interesting, but it's been a good run.
Just trying to find this out now, because I do recall seeing the bracket back before when the draw was made, and I may even find this on here. But do you know who we've got in the semis if we do win this? Because I know we're not up against Sporting or Braga.
It will be against. So it's going to be a bit of a different, because I know that it is a smaller team went through. So it was two.
There is one game that has happened, and that's
yes, it's the winner that I believe it will be the winner of that game. I believe so. I might be wrong. I can't try. It was Leiria lost. Leiria lost to Torriense. So I believe that is, but I believe so, but I might be wrong. So
let's get that up. I believe it is. It's certainly.
Actually, no, I think we're playing the winner of FAF and Braga.
Okay, yeah. I knew Sporting CP were on the other side of that bracket.
So we're playing FAF, winner of FAF versus Braga, which will most likely be Braga. I'm hoping it is FAF, but I believe, So I believe, we're game 2. We're playing the but I believe we're playing the winner of FAF and Braga. If we win, the winner of this game, if we win.
Yeah, and I think if the underdog wins, then Porto can very much be confident in getting to the final without disrespecting the opposition. And then the Braga game will have its challenges, but still Porto would be favourites. But other than that, won't look too far ahead, because we've still got to deal with this game. And Worcester, we do wait on Mike a bit more. One thing we did find out from, not the only thing, of course, but something we did find out ahead of this game in Farioli's press conference is that Francisco Mora will not be available, and Zaidi Sanusi is still at AFCON, so chances are it'll either be KVR or a player who doesn't normally play at left back starting, but we shall find out more there.
It will be KVR, I think.
Possibly. To my knowledge, no one else is out injured. I was looking at the injury suspension list, and it just had the regulars there.
Yeah, I don't think there is anyone injured. I think it's just I believe it's just more the Then part then the others are ones we already know that are injured for the whole season. So
okay, so another question I do have for you is what would you like to see from Porto going into this game?
One thing that I think kind of goes into what is don't want to see Kivior at left back. So that's ideally I would like to see Kivior and Benrek as centre backs. And then for me, we need to the last game when we played them, they came to the Dragon just to park the bus, and we controlled the game in terms of possession, but we didn't create enough chances, and that's been our biggest thing the whole season. So we need to actually take the game to them and try to create more chances.
Welcome on, Mike.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, well, all good. We're just getting into Benfica now. So we did on the last Benfica preview stream. We did talk a bit about how the season had been going. Let's get some of the other bits out of the way, and then talk purely more on Benfica's up run. What have you thought of Benfica since that last O Classico?
It's been inconsistent. I mean, some things are better, other things are not. This team's still struggling to find an identity. We're not really sure what it is right now. We're halfway through this transfer window almost, and still only Sidney Cabral has joined. So that's concerning because we don't have players that Mourinho is confident in. You can see it. He is relegating players deeper and deeper down the bench. And he's playing the young players not because he believes in them, but to show the older players that he doesn't really believe in them. And now, we're having trouble scoring. If it's not Pavlidis creating a goal, we're having a lot of trouble scoring goals. We're having a lot of trouble creating opportunities to score goals. If it's not coming from the penalty spot, it's not going in, it seems like a lot of the times. And a lot of times the penalty, getting a penalty is the fulcrum that jumpstarts the offense. So I'm very concerned right now where it's going. I do understand, though, more than I think most fans, that these type of rebuilds take time and they're going to be painful in the beginning. And I think that's the stage Benfica are in right now. Right now it's painful, and points continue to be dropped. And now we find ourselves in a cup situation where it's the only thing really we're left playing for this year. And we got to go to our biggest rival, to their stadium, where they're in unbelievable form. You guys, of course, are in unbelievable form. I think you just had the best first half of a season that we've ever seen in the Liga Portugal, in my opinion. Dominant, absolutely dominant, only dropping 2 points. And, and that there was some luck on our end in taking, a point off of you guys. But I know last time I was on here, I was not very confident. I was not very optimistic, and somehow, Mourinho channeled his 2012 self when he was at Inter Milan and managed to take a point by any means necessary. But that's not good. I don't think that's going to work again. Nicolas Otamendi being out is problematic. Antonio Silva being injured doesn't help the situation. Ooh. So I don't know.
He was very good last time.
Well, yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow across that back line, but I'm just hoping to see Benfica find some consistency in this second half of the season. I'm not even looking at the table anymore. I want to see improvement. I want to see building blocks for what can be built onto next season. Because right now, like this, there's it's directionless. So I'm hoping that whatever happens, in this cup, that these next 4 months or whatever's left of this season, something is salvaged in terms of a finished product, that we develop an identity, a system of play, and we develop syncrasies that can create goal scoring opportunities. And when Benfica take the pitch, you're going to say, this is how Benfica play. Right now, nobody can tell you how Benfica play, because we just go out there and see what happens. That's really what it feels like from the distance I watch from right now.
Yeah, that's fair. whenever these kind of fixtures, whenever there's a no Classico, then the desire never changes in terms of wanting to win. But given the situation that Benfica are in, and still it's mathematically not out of the race, but we don't have future sight item whether they close that gap or not yet. So, and then in the Champions League, they're not amongst the contenders.
No.
So does being in this cut up and being 2 rounds away from the final, is that some extra motivation to not only try and win the tournament, but to go all in?
Yes. I mean, even if this were the first round away at Porto, it's all in. Regardless of how far or close we are to the final, when the league is really out of contention, in my opinion. I don't think even second place, I think, is a long shot right now for Benfica, the way it's going. I think everything boils down to this, and coming off a really poor performance in the League Cup Final Four last week, it could go one of two ways. Sometimes teams do respond well after a really poor performance. Sometimes they bounce back, and other times they continue what they were doing wrong in the past week. Jose Mourinho's had a week now to prepare for this match, so he can't complain that he hasn't had time to train. He can't complain, that he doesn't know his team anymore. He's going to have to do something to give Benfica an opportunity to get a result. I think it's going to come from somewhat of what we saw in the previous match, where he's going to try to keep it tight, keep everything closed, and look for a set piece, because the one thing that's really improved since he's come in have been the set pieces. We've scored more goals from set pieces since he's been around. And yes, some of them are penalties, but also corner kicks and direct free kicks close to the penalty area that have required a cross, usually from Sudakov. I think he's going to look for something like that. It's going to be one of those classic. He's going to try to do one of those classic Mourinho games that we saw back from his time with Inter, especially, or with Chelsea when they would go to play Barcelona. I think the mentality is going to be something like that. But I think the degree of difficulty is going to be high because, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're unbeaten in 3 now against you guys. Could be more, could be 4, but I think it's 3.
Yeah, it's 3, yeah.
So I think that, the odds, every time you eke out a result, the odds you're going to do it again the next time reduce. Okay. Right now, Porto are playing well. Porto are confident. Porto are on the front foot and have nothing to lose in this cup match, because you have against us, a 10-point lead in the league. What is it, 7 points that you're up on Sporting right now, right? So you can even afford to get a little extra fatigue in this match and rest somebody at the weekend, because you have that cushion now in the table. You can right. So I think, obviously, given how the past results have gone, Porto are going to want this game, I think, even more than the last one. And obviously, Porto are going to want to go to the final. They're going to want to win this trophy and add it to the trophy case. We're always talking about the race in total trophies, because it's almost like the Super Cup and the League Cup exist only to add to these totals.
Yeah, I agree.
It's almost like the only reason anyone gets into them is this race for total trophies. So, but this is a real one. I think the league and the Portuguese Cup are the real competitions, and these are the ones that matter. They call it the Prova Rainha, the Queen's competition, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Benfica to get a result here. Of course, it's 90 minutes may not be enough. You're going to have to play for 120 potentially, maybe go to penalties. On the road, that's all even more difficult, especially against a team that's in form when your form is struggling the way Benfica's is right now. But if Benfica can get on the front foot early, then Mourinho can do what he does, and he can tweak the team, make adjustments. The problem is if Benfica have to chase the result, if they fall behind, it's going to be very hard, because Mourinho has shown that he doesn't necessarily have the tools or believe in the tools he has to go after, to chase a team down when coming down from behind. Last week was a prime example. Braga got ahead 2-0. Benfica went after it, but could only pull one back and then left themselves exposed for the final nail in the coffin that that saw Braga through. And, if Pau Victor and Rodrigo Salazar are that do to Benfica what they did last week, what are Samu and, William or whoever going to do to Benfica potentially tomorrow if it's their night?
What can you tell us about the Benfica's run to this stage from the previous games in this competition?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, it's all been against lower league sides. Trying to think back. We beat Atletico. We beat.
I've got the teams on the
Yeah,
screen.
you got them on the screen. That's right. Chaves, Atletico.
Can zoom in if that helps.
We haven't played a top flight team yet. Now that doesn't mean that these second division sides aren't just as good as an AVS or an Aroca, because they probably are. But you can see it's all been 2-0 results, and bare minimum is what I'm seeing in the results. I mean, a lot of them are coming on the back of international breaks too, so it's been rotated squads. But really, this run so far hasn't proven anything. I mean, the only downside is every match has been on the road, but that's been Benfica's luck in the cup the last couple of years. Is playing being drawn mostly on the road. But we haven't played a top flight team yet, so it's hard to gauge what these matches really meant.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's all the questions from me on the Benfica front. Paolo, did you have any questions for Mike?
No, in terms of I was going to ask what you think of I know you only played two games, but Sydney Lopes Cabral, in my opinion, when he's played, I've seen him play for you guys the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's been pretty good, and I think off the bench he could be dangerous.
Yeah, I think he's an improvement. He's vertical, which we were lacking vertical players. So he came in. Mourinho said he doesn't see him as a wing back. He sees him as a winger. So he's going to play further up the pitch. He brings energy off the bench, which is good. And, his first match, he managed to get an assist, which was important to start off right. I do like the player. I don't know how high his ceiling is. A match like this is a much different environment than coming in at Moreira dos Cónegos or at I don't know where we were that day, Estoril or something like that. But it's a much different animal going into the Dragão now, and having to play with this type of pressure. I'm curious to see how he does that. If he does not start, I believe he'll come in off the bench. Yeah. He's a player that Mourinho likes because he can take the flank, he can win the end line, and then drive the ball across or bring it in, looking for that later arriving midfielder that can arrive near the penalty spot. Coming in looking to get a shot off a pass on the ground or something like that, a driven ball on the ground. He's been a good addition to the team since he's arrived, and I think sooner or later he's going to be the starting player on that side. If it's not now, it'll be a week or 2 from now. It's probably not going to be much longer because we haven't had much production from that side of the pitch. Andreas Sheldrup clearly is not in Mourinho's good graces. He's had many opportunities. A lot of times with young players, we complain about lack of opportunities, but we can't make that complaint for Andreas Sheldrup. He's had a lot of opportunities and he's failed to be consistent at any point. He'll have a good game, but then he'll have a bad one, and a manager is going to have a hard time trusting a player like that. So I think Sydney is really a tool to overcome that. He's kind of the word's escaping me now, but he's basically here to try to correct that issue. So I think that he gives Benfica the verticality, and he gives some more width, which we've lacked because Samuel Dahl on that side doesn't really do the wing back part that well. He's not that great as a defender. He's kind of an in-between, which I think he'd be a good player in a back 5, but in a back 4, he's limited. So hopefully bringing in Sydney into that spot can free up Dahl to not have to go forward as much, not have to get caught out as much, and maybe he'll take the flank and get some opportunities created and try to make a game out of this, because this can go any way, and we've seen these games go every which way lately. We've seen both teams on the win with 4-5-0. and it can go either way just with a couple of occasions in the match going a certain way. So I'm curious how this is going to play out, but I can't say I'm confident here, given the form of the two teams right now.
Yeah, and that transition. Thanks for that, and that does transition us quite nicely to looking ahead to the game. Paolo, what are your thoughts? How do you potentially see this game shaping out? And if you think it's too unpredictable, what other thoughts do you have for this game?
I'm also not super confident because I know we've won basically every game apart from the game we drew with you guys, but our form, the way we play when we've played, there's been games where we get the result, but the performance might not necessarily be there. I will say we kind of need to take what Braga have done in the last two games, because I know they drew the game in the league, but they basically both games they just took it out. They went straight out and tried to, and they basically from both first halves they dominated, and we need to play like that. And I believe we have the defense. We have the best defense in the league. That we only conceded 4 goals in the league, so I believe we have the defense that can hold on to the lead. We just need to kind of not do what we did when we played against you guys the first time, and just you passing them, not really having urgency. We didn't have the urgency to break you guys down. We need to kind of go in there, and I do think we'll win. But I think I'm hoping. I'm thinking it could be a 2-1. But I do think we need to have that urgency and that we haven't had in some games, and just go out and really take what Braga did, because I think what Braga did is perfect. They come out and got you from in the first half. Then the second half, you were basically all over them, and then still managed to get a 3-1 anyway. Right. So, and I believe our defense is good enough to hold on.
Yeah.
I agree, and I do think the longer Benfica can keep it at 0-0, the better chance they've got at winning, especially if it does end at 0-0 at half-time. But not only with this Benfica team, but past examples, as discussed before, on Fenerbahce, and one of my commenters mentioned the Man United vs Spurs game. In the Fenerbahce case, the prime example was their 3-1 derby defeat to Galatasaray. But what against a Mourinho side, if you score early, then that puts you in a very strong position, and it would certainly be interesting to see what Mourinho's adaptability would be. But if it's not 2-0 within the first 60 minutes, then Benfica are certainly in with a chance. We certainly had been hearing, I certainly had been hearing a bit of Farioli's desire of adjusting how to improve on the result, where it was the only one that Porto didn't win in the league. So I'm expecting a response from that alone. Where the other area, as Mikey has hinted at, I think where there's going to be question marks, and one area too that has a spotlight over it is that area of the two centre backs. With Otamendi and Silva unavailable, most likely we'll see Araujo. But firstly, from Benfica's perspective, is what they have enough? And then on the Porto's perspective, will they take advantage? So any thoughts on that? Both of you can answer.
I think Manu is going to play center back with Tomás Araujo. That's my belief right now. 24 hours out. He's played center back in the past, and it's an emergency situation. I don't know how I feel about that, because he's only got so many minutes in his legs this season. He's coming off a really bad injury. Perhaps it'll be easier for him to play in the back four rather than in midfield, where he'd be required to run more, because he has struggled a little bit to get his match fitness back. Yeah, I'm very concerned there. I don't know how that makeshift back line is going to contain Porto's attack. That said, I mean, cup matches, you can, they go ways you never expected. And going back to what you were just saying about, I just wanted to respond quickly because you said that the longer it stays 0-0, you think it may go better for Benfica. But I think Benfica need to take the lead at some point fairly early, because the longer it stays 0-0, also the longer Benfica's first choice players have to hang on.
True.
And a little bit depleted right now. Plus, I'm curious if Mourinho is going to go with Ivanovic over Pavlidis to start, because if this match goes to penalties, Pavlidis is not going to play 120 minutes. He's hardly played 90 all season, basically since he's been at Benfica. He's always been subbed off. And I just find these managers tend to love to sub their penalty takers out of these matches. And then you go to the penalties and suddenly you don't have the guys who are comfortable in that situation. And I know the Napoli game, for whatever reason, he went with Ivanovic and he sat Pavlidis that game. And that was Benfica beat Napoli that day. And I wonder if he's going to come out with that approach. And then he's going to bring Pavlidis in, say, around the 60th minute mark, so that he will have him for an hour potential, if necessary, to have him in there when they take penalties. But I do think that the longer it goes, if Benfica are not playing ahead, if they're not trying to hold on to a lead, it's going to be harder and harder to find that goal the later the game goes on. And Porto's back line is just going to get more and more in unison with each other, more and more on the same wavelength. It's going to be even harder to break them down if it's not off the play, some sort of quick odd man rush or some quick play in transition. Like you said, Braga had a great blueprint, and Braga are exceptionally good at breaking down the press, and Benfica learned that the hard way, trying to press them, and they passed out of it with no problem. I don't suspect Benfica are going to try to do the same thing against Porto, because they know that Porto can break that down. But if Porto come out and start to smother Benfica in our defensive end, I'm very concerned how we're going to if we're going to be intelligent enough to simplify our game, because when we played Sporting in the league, we forced it, and Trubin forced a short pass out of the back that then was lost right on the edge of our penalty area, and Sporting scored. I forget the player that scored, but he basically collected the ball right at the top of the penalty area and had a free shot on goal, because
it might have been either Gonzalez or Trincao.
I think it was Pot. Yeah, I think it was Gonçalves. I think Trincão got the steal and then played a square ball to Pot. But a play like that, I'm very nervous about, especially if Porto start to really pen Benfica back. If they're going to be too proud to just knock a ball long and start 60 yards up the pitch rather than right at your own goal mouth with the play. I'd rather see them, if need, knock it long and try to win the ball higher up the pitch and not have those battles so close to our goal. But I'm very concerned about that back line and what he's going to decide to do. I don't know what it's going to be, but my senses say he's going to go to Manu, who's not played center back in quite some time. But right now, that's what, he's the next guy up. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there any other areas of the pitch you guys think would be key in terms of the potential outcome of this game?
I think for Porto's side, I think I've mentioned it a bit earlier. I think we're going to start Kivio at left back, and I think it's going to be Thiago Silva is going to be playing with Bednarek. We had a behind closed door game on the weekend, and that's how we played. So I believe was my biggest worry when we signed Thiago Silva. I do not want that. I think Thiago Silva should be our backup. I don't think we should force Kivio on left. The only problem is Moura isn't playing, so I believe for this game it makes sense because Moura's not playing and Martin at left back. I don't know about all that, so I think that's what's going to happen. I'm worried a little bit because it's going to be an untested centre back partnership of Bednarek and Silva with Kivio, who, as much as people like to say, "Oh, he played left back at Arsenal," he's a centre back and he's played left back once this season for Porto against Moreirense, and I don't think he was very good.
Mhm.
and it was only for 30 minutes. But that's my worry. I think that's going to be a big thing. I know your wingers aren't exceptional either, so I do think that's my biggest worry for us. And I'm interested to see every game with Porto. I'm always interested to see who starts over Vega or Rodrigo Mora. I think it will probably be Vega because of his physicality, but we probably need Mora's creativity, as we showed in the first game where we weren't really creative, and Mora got the best chance in the game that just missed. So they hit the crossbar. So I believe that's going to be the other thing, who starts, Vega or Mora. I think if it's Vega, physicality will be good in midfield, but we might be lacking that creativity that Mora provides.
I think the matchup in midfield is intriguing, but I think Porto are stronger in midfield too. So, but I think that's a key matchup to watch is to the central midfielders and how they play against each other.
And it'll be in a 4-3-3 as well. Mike, I'm aware you've probably got about 4 minutes left, so
about that.
Give us your predicted lineup from the Benfica side.
All right, so he's played Samu in goal every step of the way here, but I believe he's going with Truban. He's going to go with the starting goalkeeper. Just this week, Samu was linked with the move to Gil Vicente, so I can't imagine that he's going to throw him in a cup game if there's any truth to that story. The right back will be Dedic. Like I said, Araujo and Manu as the center backs, Dal the left back. So Manu can't play in center mid. So if he's fit, Enzo will come back in. I don't know his status right now. If he's not, we got Barreto, we got Auschnitz, and we got Sudakov as the three in midfield, my guess. Thinking about it right now. Richard Rios. Sorry. Richard Rios, Auschnitz, and probably
Barreto.
And Barreto. Yeah. Mourinho loves Barreto. So it's going to be those three in the middle. And then Sudakov probably pushed out on the left again, where I don't really like him very much until he tucks into the middle when Sydney comes in. And on the right, it's been Prestiani lately. I don't know if Mourinho's going to trust him in this one. But he may not have a choice. Now that I'm thinking of the available players, he may not even have a choice. It may be Prestiani. And then, although I just said possibly Ivanovic would start as the striker, it's probably going to be Pavlidis. That's 4-3. I think that's 11. It's probably similar to what we've been seeing with the change of Manu going into the back four. And Barreto coming into or Auschnitz coming into the center of the park in midfield in his place.
Another quick question: any chance that Pavlidis and Ivanovic might play together at any point? Not necessarily starting, but kind of in the second half.
It's possible. It hasn't been very successful when it's been tried in the past. Neither one of them seems to really know what to do playing in a partnership. In the front, both of them seem to do better on their own. It's possible, depending on, of course, what the match calls for. If Porto are up 2-0, I could see two strikers going in the last half hour to try to get back into it, but it's probably unlikely. I think I don't see Mourinho doing that. I think he so values balance, and he values keeping it tight and keeping everything organized, that I don't know that he's going to get that hectic unless he needs to, unless the match is calling for it.
Yeah. What's your score prediction for the game? We'll do that early because time is of the essence for you.
I think I agree with Paulo. I think it's going to be a 2-1 Porto game.
Okay. And where can the people find you?
My handle's right there on social media at Mike Agostinho. That's MikeAgostinho on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and on YouTube. You can find me there, or you can go to my website, www.mrbenfica.com. I have my episodes up there and a couple articles I wrote a long time ago that are still up there.
Mikey, thanks for your time, and
all right, thank you for having me.
Hopefully, we'll see you back here for the March preview.
All right, we'll see you then.
And links in the description as well.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Have a good
Enjoy
one.
the game.
Thanks for coming
Cheers.
on. Thank
All
you.
right, see ya.
Paolo, what's your lineup prediction for tomorrow's game?
Well, my lineup prediction is obviously Diogo Costa in goal. I think we're gonna go. I think Martin will be at right back because lately Alberto Costa. I don't know what's been happening, but he hasn't been starting. So I think that's gonna stay. I wouldn't. That's not what I'll do, but I believe that's what's gonna happen. Then it's gonna be Silva and Thiago Silva, Bednarek, and then Kivio at left back. I believe Pablo Rosario will start as DM. And I think it will be Froholt and Gabri Vega. And wingers, I believe it will be Pepe. I think it will be Pepe and William Gomes, I think, and then Samu. Obviously, that wingers are always the tricky one.
Yeah.
I think that's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm still a bit split on who plays at right wing, but I've got Diogo Costa in goal. We started to see that he came in for that Famalicão game, having prior been Claudio Ramos. So we've got an idea at what point Diogo Costa will cut in, and as this is going to be against one of the other best teams in the country, he'll play. I've got Alberto Costa starting at right back. I think the fact he hasn't started a lot of the last few games, I think I interpreted that as rotation and fixture congestion in mind. So I think he'll play. I've also got differences in mind for the back four as well. I think he'll, especially seeing as there's been a big gap between this game and the previous game, and we've got the other games aren't quite coming as thick and fast as they were in December. So I think he won't change the centre back pairing of Bednarek and Kvyat, and I don't think if it's Bednarek and Thiago Silva, I don't think that solves the speed issues of Bednarek. So I think he'll probably be on the bench and come in later in the month. Left back, I wasn't quite sure on. I was close to choosing Martin Fernandez, but I think Rosario is going to go there. He's been a player that's come in whenever we needed a player in the midfield or the defense. So I think Rosario will plug that gap up there. I have down that the main midfield three, Varela, Froholt, and Vega will play. I feel on the right wing I am split between William Gomez and Pepe, but I think there's a bigger chance that William Gomez comes off the subs bench than the other way around. So that's why I've given the edge to Pepe starting. Got Boya Sainz on the left and Samu at striker. So that's my lineup just to round off there. So I believe that is probably maybe about 4 differences from what we've from each other's lineups. So I believe there's not a lot else to discuss, but to go on to the score predictions. What do you have in mind, Paolo?
Do you think I'm going to say 2-1. I think I'm going to say 2-1 to Porto. I think it's going to be tough, really tough game. But I think 2-1. So yeah.
Yeah. I definitely believe there's a good chance of winning in 90 minutes, but I think it'll be closer. I think it'll be 1-1, and I think Porto wins on penalties. Or maybe in extra time, because there is extra time in this game. But although thinking about it, maybe Benfica his depth probably doesn't have the legs, and possibly Porto do. Yeah, now that I think about it, I think I'll change to 2-1, but in extra time.
I think Porto
But
have.
I would still be confident if Porto were to be taken to penalties, even though Costa can, and you never know when he. Nowadays, you never know when he's going to be a sensational spot kicks. Since 2023, I think he's been kind of unpredictable whether he's does show up in the moment or not. But still, I think Porto should have enough to get over the line, and I don't think Porto will break it down Benfica early, and therefore I think Benfica will do enough to stay in the game, but I think it will be not enough to get the result they are looking for. Any other thoughts from you, Paolo, out this review?
No, I think given it all, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be, it's going to be a good game. I'm hoping for a good game. After the game, don't know if you saw, after the game that happened in the final of the Taça League, where it was an amazing game. I hope we get another amazing game for Portuguese football. I think it needs it.
Yeah. If I can do this fast enough, I'll see if I can visually share share our predictions. But yeah, this is a game that I've been thinking about for a while, and definitely has been waiting to see what when is it going to be, and it has been schedules for this month. Let's see if this comes through. Yeah, well, they'll do nicely. So yeah, I looking forward to the game. I'll once again be in London for to watch this game with the where most of the Porto community in England will be. If it being a late kick off, like later than what it would usually be here, there's certainly less of a reason for me to stay in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to the event, and hopefully a satisfying outcome at the minimum, and seeing some of the guys. But Paolo, thanks very much for coming on and giving your contributions. Where can people find your TikTok and other
TikTok for me would be Pal Talk Sport. So yeah, Pal Talk Sport on TikTok. Try to get the video out daily about Portuguese, about Porto, and also I'm trying to get more content about the Portuguese league in general. So yeah, Pal Talk Sport.
Fantastic, and his link to that is in the description. You can also find him on Twitter as well as
Twitter's Man Like Abs.
Yeah, Man Likes Abs. Big fan of Pablo Rosario. And so yeah, that's gonna pretty much be the end there. Leave your thoughts in the comments. How do you think the game's going to go? What else are you looking out for? As mentioned, Paolo's and Ike's links are in the description, as are my links. So yeah, we've got what a great game coming up, where hopefully it can be one step to a trophy, and hopefully a potential double always on. But in the meantime, hope you all have a good rest of your week, and until next time, for Porto.
For support. Thanks, Matt.